Take two. All right, we talked about that. But we didn't talk about football shoulder pads yesterday. One, I really don't like shoulder pads that are on the market now. Of course, the manufacturers like them because, well, they make a little more money. All right. They have an air management. The material that is on the shoulder pad, not the hard plastic stuff, but the material that holds the foam is is airtight as long as it doesn't have a cut in it. Okay? Because if it has a cut in it, then it's not airtight. So it's airtight when you first buy them. So let's get this over here. I don't have to blow it all the way up, but if this is airtight, right? It increases it decreases the area, increases the pressure. You can see how that works just with a latex glove. Well, when you put in a open cell foam, all right, let's see if I can find an open cell foam. The opposite of this. Okay, an open cell foam is what you find in your seat cushion. The beige foam. It's got a whole bunch of little pits in it, so it's open cell. So it holds the air, and then when you decrease the size of the material around it, the air pressure increases and absorbs the blow. No, no, no. Whoopee cushions has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So now this is closed cell foam, and you can feel the difference. It's harder to push down than that stuff that's in your couch, etc. It's a closed cell foam. To me, that is actually going to absorb force better than an air management system. But that, my opinion, and $9 will get you a Starbucks cup of coffee. So, anyways, the air management systems, I think that yes, as long as they're new pads, they're going to be okay. But the problem is that if you're in a high school, shoulder pads cost $200, $250 a pair. A single shoulder pad is 200 to 250 bucks. Well, you've got 200 kids playing football. That's a lot of money. And since it's a lot of money, they get handed down year after year after year, and you'll find programs that have shoulder pads that are over 10 years old. And they've got tears in them, and they're air management systems. And so the air management system is completely gone, and now you're wearing a piece of open cell foam on top of a padding. And it doesn't have then what's called a cantilever. So because they're not putting them in the open cell foam in the air management systems. So are they good? Yeah, for a year or two. Are they something that needs to be bought and then you say, yeah, we're just keep using them and using them? No, I don't think so. I don't think they should even be passed down to the junior high. So then your shoulder pads you can always find out as far as like position. They've got great big shoulder pads for your linemen. We've all seen that, right? And then like the quarterbacks, they wear a smaller shoulder pad, and so shoulder pads are position specific. So if you watch the shoulder pads that the kickers wear, like in the NFL, it's ridiculous. But they have to wear them, so they just put on something that's nice and cheap. Now, cantilevered shoulder pad, actually, what happens is that the shoulder pad that comes around, and you've got one on each side, right? In the hard plastic, the cantilever is a strap that's this far off of that hard plastic. Okay, and so that strap fits here, and when the shoulder pad gets pushed down, it pushes the cantilever or the strap onto your shoulder, which then pulls the shoulder pad shut. and distributes that force to your thoracic part, to the front of your back and your front, your pecs and your back. I like those the best, but they quit making them. The other problem with shoulder pads is that kids today, and I'm saying even kids in high school, not all of them, but there's a few kids in high school that that go over there and they work out real hard in the weight room. Since they work out real hard in the weight room, their traps are bigger. All right? They have a greater angle instead of a nice, a flat shoulder. You can see that, they got muscle shoulders and they're all up here. And that makes a difference on how the shoulder pad fits. So if I've got muscle shoulders as opposed to just regular old flat shoulders, and the shoulder pad company won't make specific differences in it, that kid that actually works out is going to be susceptible to getting stingers more often than the kid who doesn't work out. It makes sense, but they're not really stingers. They're just being entrapping and bruising at the brachial plexus. It's not about the pad, it's about the angle that they are made. And the typical angle is a 6-degree angle, and some of them need to be 10, maybe 12 degrees. So that's why you'll see us, we'll break out some of this stuff, and we'll wrap it inside of their shoulder pads to where there's not this great big differential on the outside. If there's a great big differential on the outside, if she stands up and puts on her shoulder pads, instead of them just fitting flat, if there's a differential where I can stick a hand or a finger through or 2 fingers in, that means that all this force is coming down here. And if it comes down there, does anybody care to volunteer? I won't do this to her because I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to go straight down right there. Any volunteers on that? No, isn't that pressure point? It hurts pretty good. That's where your nerves come out of your neck. And so if that's where your nerves are coming out and it's getting traumatized over and over, you think you're getting a stinger. And a stinger is where your head comes over like so. And so at the nerve root, boom, if I really do that, now I'm stretching the nerve. But instead of stretching the nerve, it's like I'm karate chopping it. I just keep beating it up until it gets irritated. And I hadn't seen a single study on this, but I wish they would. So I would put cantilevers on linemen, linebackers, and defensive backs, probably also a fullback, because I think that they can handle the force better. We got one set over there that's a cantilever shoulder pad because that's what somebody needed, and I ordered it. I said, okay, let's make it cantilevered also. Oh, okay, well, we'll do that. But anymore, it's probably air management, and I'm not a big fan of air management pads. So when you put the shoulder pads on, you need to measure the width of the shoulder to determine the pad size. I'm talking, take that, put your fingers right there, from bone to bone, outside, how far is that apart? Inside your shoulder pads need to cover to the end of the shoulder. Such we get some of those guys that say, I don't want to wear big shoulder pads. I just hate them. And so they get shoulder pads that are too small and they're up here and they're exposing their deltoid muscle or exposing their AC joint. Not a smart idea. And then the opposite thing is that you get down it's slim pickings and you get the little kid that just transferred in and they look over at the 14 pairs of pads that are still left. And instead of them being inside there, they're hanging out way over here. You don't want them too big either. That can be a problem. The deltoid cup, all right? Now, this is the deltoid cup. You see the guys, they get all mad at me when I tell them that that's got none of this. This doesn't be flapping in the wind. Because underneath it, as you see, it protects his deltoid. That's got to be out here and not too far. All right? And it allows you to put your arms over your head without the shoulder pad fitting. And on this part here, you want to make sure that you're covering up the clavicle. You don't want some like that last kid that's picking that poor transfer boy, little bitty guy. He came in and he's got a pair of shoulder pads that are way out here and leaves a great big neck opening. he's going to get hit on his clavicle and he's going to break it. If you've got somebody that has that going on, go order another pair of pads. It's a whole lot easier than explaining to mama why you didn't, and the kid has a problem as far as either a broken shoulder, a broken clavicle, etc. Flak jacket. Now, they're not so popular anymore because mainly you see these shoulder pads and they already got a back pad on it for their back, for way down here. And I like that portion of it. Help protect those kidneys. Those kidneys, they don't need to be beat up. But a flak jacket is one that has suspenders on it, and then you put that on, and then your shoulder pads, tighten your shoulder pads up, and adjust your flak jacket, and it goes around your ribs. Yeah, well, I think he doesn't know how to say his name. I think it's Roethlisberger. He calls himself Roethlisberger, but it's got an E in there, so that should be Roethlisberger, I think. Someone call him up one day and ask him if he actually knows how to say his own name. Good. Now, Bike is a well, it used to be a company, but in other words, there's rib protectors that you can wear. Now, here's the whole thing about that. I'm running along, and I'm not wearing my rib protector. I'm in practice and so forth because we don't hit during practice. And then it's game time, and I put something else out here against my ribs, and I'm holding on to the football. Proprioception, being able to understand what is touching you, where it is, where your arm is, and everything. I lose that if I'm wearing that rib protector. And they've actually done studies that show that there's more fumbles from those guys who are wearing those rib protectors than those that aren't, which makes sense. Yeah, they don't feel the ball there. And then it's also hard. So if I hit them in the arm, whoop, it squirts out. So be careful. Make sure that you always have them wear it in practice, and then get some hits on it so he knows how to adjust to it. Your hips. Oh, not just football, but in football, what they're doing now is they're wearing those little girdles. They're like leggings. Yeah, it's like, well, they have them with pads already in them now, or they're sewn in. The problem with that, the problem with that is that they don't have the hip pads that come out and up and over. They're cut off right there at the waistband. Well, your iliac crest is higher than that, and that's where you get your hip pointers. And so, okay, I don't want this sticking out, blah blah. I want to look good. You look good, you play good. Yeah, well, until you get a hip pointer, and then you're out for 2 weeks. So it's important that as far as football, and you see, I even have it in volleyball. Why in volleyball? You're diving all the time. I've seen those deals. I don't know if it's Under Armour or something that are like body tards that have pads, including down your back and so forth. I think volleyball ought to wear those because you got all those spinous processes just cruising across that deal as she's rolling over. And we get so many kids that come in and say, "Oh, my hip hurt. Oh, I hit my back on this side," or I protection. An ounce of protection is worth a pound of cure. What? They ought to. Well, the goalie might. They hardly get any action at all, and they got them big old padded gloves and big old, why, I don't know. They look like Mickey Mouse hands. But, well, so that ball is a lot bigger than what a football is, and the gloves are a whole lot bigger than what football gloves are. Yeah. Uh, Quit playing. Oh, by the way, this reminds me. Make sure you get your homework done. Baseball helmet. Helmet for who? Yeah, you did. Not right now. We'll get it in a minute. All right. So they're usually worn in a girdle, but now I don't like them in a girdle. I like them where they just come across the belt. I guess I'm old school. Holy smokes! Neoprene sleeves. You know what that stuff is? Neoprene. Cheese. Neoprene sleeves is not made of cheese. Jeans?
It's called that, yeah.
Neoprene?
Yeah.
No. No. Those things, those little black thingies like that. And then, so you can use these to help protect. All right? You put them on. Well, it's probably not for an arm. It's probably for a knee, is it? Small knee. So you can put it on for like turf burns, etc. Now, unfortunately, we see people that come in here all the time and they have these little things on, and I said, "Wait, what is that?" And they go, "My knee brace." I said, "Really? You sure? Where'd you get it?" Dollar store. Okay. If you can take either whether it's neoprene or whatever, and if you're able to wad it up in a ball, is that going to brace anything? No, absolutely not. So it's not so much for that as what as neoprene would be for keeping you protected from turf burns, etc. So some folks, especially as they get older, it doesn't feel near as good when their joints get cold and playing in cold weather. So those will help keep you warm. Um, they have pull-on pads that you can just pull on. We talked a little bit about this the other day, right? Oh no, it was the other class. It was about arms. Um, but just that white foam we had, you can take that white foam and then cut it for somebody's arm, and then pre-wrap the foam itself. Don't pre-wrap it on the arm, and then tape it straight to the arm. And that works really good as far as for protection of. Oh yeah, these are WWEs. This is wrestling. Well, I think they say they're small. It might be a wrist brace for me. All right, now it's a forearm brace. Yeah, roller girls. You know, at the roller derby, they would wear those all the time. Y'all never been to the roller derby? Oh yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool. She could probably wear 'em. Volleyball, I think, should wear something like this on their knees. Maybe I don't know about their elbows. They just got to learn to fall better. Special and custom pads. You see us do this. You see us make special and custom pads in here all the time. We break out the orthoplast and we go and we measure and we cut it out, and then the next thing you know, we let it harden. We add a little foam for comfort. Um, that is where you find out whether or not, and I'm thinking, is whether or not you find out a trainer has actually got some hands-on experience. Because if they don't, they just go reach in the stinking what you call it catalog and they just go order it. Well, that guy played the game in East Texas. A guy came out. He needed a pad for something. That is really nice. He needed a pad to cover a brand new injury that happened during the game. Okay, so I didn't have a hydroculator, but what I did have was a thigh pad. And I took the thigh pad and I cut out, I ripped it open, and on the inside of the thigh pad's a little piece of plastic, and then you can mold it down and so forth. And so, being able to think on your feet with custom pads certainly is going to be helpful. Also, shoes can cause you need to think of your shoes as far as protection as your athlete. You don't want your athletes wearing cleats that are too long, cleats that are too old, running shoes that are too old, and we'll get into more of that once we get past this stuff and way down the road and get into feet and ankles. Remember, the remainder of pads and braces, we'll cover that when we talk about specific injuries and so forth. But padding and bracing, it's all left to your imagination. Somebody's got something that needs covering, cover it up. And if you don't know how, make it up. That's the biggest thing. You can't go wrong. I tell them to take them down so that I tell them to take them down so that the deltoid cup doesn't keep flying up. And if they argue about it, I said, "Well, give me your helmet," and they will. And I say, "I'm gonna take your helmet, and I am gonna hit you right here." I'm picking on you today, aren't I? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna hit you right here on your shoulder, and and we're going to see how you. No, don't do that. Well, then that's what's happening. You're going to get in there. You get your tank top on instead of your jersey, And that's going to come up, and someone's going to pound you right there on your shoulder, and now you're out for 4 weeks. Be smart. And it doesn't decrease the temperature out here, so be done with it. But anyways, all right. Well, we'll see.